Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Jonstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Jonstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Jonstad.
Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome. Welcome to Voice Rising. We are diving into the big questions on how we as a humanity can fine-tune our body, mind, spirit system and heal through sound consciousness. And I am very excited to explore these bigger questions of meaning today with the world-renowned Syrian Oudist composer and educator, Mohannad Nasser. Welcome, Mohannad, to the show.
Hello, Kara. Thank you so much for hosting me. It's a big pleasure.
Yes, it's a very big pleasure to have you here. You have emerged as an innovative and creative musician with years of experience performing on the Middle East musical scenes and have a lot of expertise teaching oriental music. Share with us a little bit about your musical roots, and was music always a part of your life?
Actually, I'm originally from Syria, from the south of Syria, and I play an instrument which is called the oud instrument. It's considered as one of the basic elements in the Arabic music identity. And it's the instrument as well as exists in the Orient in general, in Turkey, in Iran. Mainly I perform my music, which is based on Oriental music root, Arabic music, but it's also very much connected to the neighboring countries. Yeah.
Right. The oud, your instrument, is considered by many to be the king of all instruments, and I believe the name originally came from le oud, or wood. Is it true? Does it mean wood in Arabic?
I think the history of the oud instrument is very, very rich and very old. It's almost exists in most of the countries. In the Silk Road, you remember in the history there was the Silk Road, which is started from China and to Europe. So I think each country in the Silk Road, we can see an instrument which is which looks like the oud, but in a different shape or a different model. So the historical roots is pretty rich and very old, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Mohannad, but the oldest picture of the oud is 5,000 years ago and was taken in northern Syria, your homeland. So it's that old.
Amazing, yeah.
It's that rich. Tell us about your childhood, Mohannad. How was that? Was it full of music and poetry and singing?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly was lucky enough to have a family which was, they were very supporting. My father played oud as well. And I still remember that I had a musical school after my original school. So I finished school around 1 p.m. and then I have a lunch, then I go to the musical school afternoon time every day. So that was very nice time. I have a lot of memories about playing music in a small age. I was surrounded by a lot of other kids, so it was sort of like a social activity, you know, to meet other kids and to play in ensembles. But actually, when I started playing music, I was not playing oud directly. I was playing accordion. And then there was a friend of my father who's a music teacher, and he like made me fall in love with the violin. So I also started playing violin. My family were very, very supportive. They were like buying me an instrument whenever I say that I want to play it. Yeah, and I still remember like one day I asked my father to take a picture for me in the house, and he told me, "No, I would like to take a picture for you in the real stage when you perform in front of the audience." And that was my first experience on stage when I was 8 years old.
8 already. You were already performing, and that was with the oud, or was that with the violin? Your first concert?
No, actually, that period was I was performing accordion and violin, and then the oud came a little bit late when I was 13, 14 years old.
Right, right. So, Mohannad, your journey with the oud, of course, came with a rich period of studies at the Higher Institute of Music in Damascus, where you perfected that knowledge of traditional oriental music. And in 2015, you, as many Syrian artists and many Syrians, were forced with a very difficult period of hardship with the conflict in your country, the civil war, and you had to leave your own country and fled to, I believe it was Lebanon, correct?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because it was the closest country to Syria, so many artists go to Lebanon, yeah.
Yeah, and so how did that affect you as a family, of course, as a person? We know that music is born out of real life stories, so we can't, we're drawing from our love and our life and our culture when we create music. So you were you still are very young. I have the pleasure to know you personally. How was that for you to have to leave the roots where you had all those? Yeah. How was that for you as a musician?
Actually, like before 2011, before the war in Syria, I was studying. I was in the second year of the conservatoire, or like the Higher Institute of Music. At that point, before the war, we were as any musician around the world, filling our time with practicing music and just like developing, studying in the university. And like suddenly there was the war in 2011, which changed everything completely. So we were suddenly in like an atmosphere of fighting every day, and it was very bloody, so we couldn't really practice well, and there was basic needs were missing. For example,
right.
We had no electricity for years, like a lot of electricity cut, and basic things in life were not really exist. So we needed always to adapt. Like I discovered in that period, like between 2011 and 2015, I discovered like how we are as a human being. We are like really able to adapt ourselves to the reality, So we always look for a window of hope. So for example, like I was practicing midnight until the morning time. Like my schedule as a human being was completely the opposite of nature. because there was fighting during the day and a lot of bombing, so it's not the right it's not a calm atmosphere to play music. So I had to switch my lifestyle and practice in the night when the fighter go to sleep, and then when I left Syria, I went to Lebanon. Basically, I stayed in Syria because I wanted to finish my university, to graduate, and to have my certificate, so I can keep progressing in the educational field, doing a master program after, instead of doing a bachelor degree from zero again. I didn't want to lose that, so I insisted to stay. I graduated in 2015, and a week after I directly left to Lebanon. And then there was definitely a new chapter there, which is the chapter that we cannot really look behind. We cannot think again about going back to Syria until the situation will be changed somehow, and just looking forward to see what the future will bring. And so definitely it's not easy because we are far from our homeland.
Right. Yes.
But also on the other hand, I learned during those years that home can mean many different things. It's not necessarily only the place where we were born. It can be also our good friends, the new cities we visit, the new memories we build. So now I have other homes in different places in the world.
So you're a global citizen.
You
belong
doing my best
to the world. And there's also a beautiful phrase, home is where the heart is, right? So where we find the heart between people, between when we share food, when we share music, that's
Definitely.
often where we feel. Yeah. Mohannad, your compositions have been described by audience as being delicate, serene, and magical. And now if one really absorbs this story of the passage from a young boy learning violin and accordion and oud and being at the university to those powerful pictures that you just shared of needing to practice your instrument and your music in the middle of the night when it might have been quieter because there were no bombings, because the fighters were asleep. How can it be with that much experience, or what do you think feeds that delicate, that serene, that magical, that flexibility? That is it the hope that you have walking forward with all the new friends that you've made and all the music that you carry with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly for me the responsibility of creating sort of beauty that makes some people relax. Or I was always asking myself what can be the message of my music, what I want to say. And I had a period where I thought, yeah, maybe I have to have a very clear political message. And then I had another idea of having a very clear humanitarian values that I want to focus about. But at the moment, I actually think that making a good quality music, a beautiful music, is already a message.
Yes.
So it can be that space where some people can have a special state of mind. When they relax, they feel they have a certain emotion toward the music they listen to. So I'm satisfied with this result. Probably I will change my opinion in the future, but at the moment.
Well, they do say that beauty can save us. There's a saying, I'm trying to think, there was a very famous poet. he said that beauty, even poetry, is able to save us as a humanity. That if we, if we tap into really allowing ourselves to remember beauty, then we are deeply relaxed and calm and in the heart, and all those.
This is definitely true. Yeah, definitely true.
And all those very, very, very good things, right? Well, we're gonna very soon take a break, so I don't want to go too deep into the next question, but I want you to think about this while we're listening to the sponsors, because I want to explore with our audience after we come back kind of the difference between Eastern and Western music, because I think one of your visions is to merge and to unite the Middle Eastern music with jazz, with bossa, with flamenco, with a lot of different genres, and bring your instrument and give it a new voice or a richer voice, which is almost impossible. So while we take this break, we'll be back with Mohannad Nasser and Le Oud Whispers, Loud Whispers.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight or flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Jonstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajonstad.com. and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. You're at Voice Rising. I am your host, Kara Jonstad, and we are in studio today with Mohannad Nasser, and we are talking about one of the most beautiful instruments I know, the oud, the voice of the oud, and we just left off with this question that I hand over to you, Mohannad. What would you say are the predominant differences between Eastern and Western music?
Yeah, actually, I don't know, like, for example, when I don't really know exactly what we mean when we say Eastern and Western, because as musicians or like even like we know that always the borders are not really like we created the borders. So,
Right.
For example, even when we say Western music, we mean the music in Europe, but also in the East Europe there is like a little bit different music about the West Europe, and also the same things apply on the East. Like when we say Eastern music, we usually mean maybe the Middle East and Asia, which is very different from each other. So anyway, we both, as musicians, and a lot of our friends who listen knows that borders are illusions. But if we will say Arabic music, for example, it came from the oriental roots, so it's very connected to Iran, Turkey, India, and it's also like geographically speaking close to. It's between Africa and Asia, so there's a lot of musical elements contain the musical identity. But at the moment in 2019, like the main difference is the alphabet of the music, to make it very simple and easy. In Arabic music, we don't have the harmony as a basic element. So it's we have the melody and we have the rhythm. So it's a melody. It's all the music is based on creating melodies. So if we go to listen to a concert, we will hear probably 20 instruments playing one melody with no arrangement, with no harmony element. This is the tradition of Arabic music. But also, we use in Arabic music different notation system, which is called the microtones. To make it also simple, we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. We have the re bemol, but also we have something called re half bemol. So there are these small intervals which create like the quarter tone, that we use a lot in Arabic music, and this mainly make the scales and the scales very, very wide and rich. So there is thousands of possibilities to create melodies, which is something very rich. And I find a lot of my friends who came from like a classical Western music background, they are super interested to know more about this field, you know.
Is this, Mohannad, is this because you have the strings? I believe on the oud you have no frets. Like the guitar, you have frets, but you have no frets. And so is this gives you the ability to do the microtones? Or we know the voice also, we have no frets in our voice, we have no keys, we are free like a river. Is this why you can bend it so easily? Whereas, for example, a keyboard, well, I guess we now have the bender wheels on keyboards, we could do that too, but it's more difficult?
Exactly. I mean, like most of the Arabic instruments are fretless, so there is no frets. Yeah, so that's why it's easier to apply the microtones on the instruments. Exactly.
Right. So you're currently, I believe, now you have so many projects, but you're currently working also with many jazz musicians. So jazz, as people that do a lot of music know that the jazz world loves very complex harmonics. Now this must be a very fascinating intersection for you to be coming from. I mean, jazz also, we have rhythm and we also have melody, but we do have harmonics. If you're sharing with us that harmonics are not a big part of Arabic music.
Yeah, actually, this is, I think, this was the crossroad for my method between like merging together Arabic musicians and classic Western musicians, because, for example, I always encourage my students. I personally also studied harmony a lot in my life, because I always wanted that I always knew that this is the field that we should know about to be able to communicate better with others. So as you said, it's harmony is like a basic, very important language for jazz musicians as well. So when I did my master program at Berklee College of Music, I was working on a project, an educational project, to have like a space where Arabic musicians can communicate better with contemporary musicians like jazz, and communicate better, share their experience, to encourage each part to learn more about the other language. So the result is always very, very beautiful, because as you, like, for example, you know, in the overtune of one note, like in the harmonic series of one note, when we sing just like simply do, we basically hear like a series of other tunes, and some of those of this harmonic series are not exactly the white and the black keys on the keyboard. So there is something in the nature proving that the microtones exist in the nature. So I think there's, and on the other hand, harmony is making our life more beautiful. So what I'm trying to do is to find this space where both musicians from different backgrounds can share together their language.
So in some ways, what you were saying in the beginning of the show, to have no borders, to take down the walls, to really understand, just
Exactly.
like the bird flies and, it doesn't have that wall, right? Doesn't go through passport control. So can the musicians, or the music can be united, and like this we can come together as a humanity if we understand the language.
And also in this direction, we are going to create new identities, which is more rich than what we already have, because it's based on mixing, like cultural mix.
Mohannad, how is it for you with poetry and lyrics? You are an instrumentalist, more or less, but your culture is very rich in poetry. Do you use poetry? Do you also sing sometimes on stage? How is it for you? What is the role that voice plays in your life?
Actually, recently I started to feel how important it is to sing in the live performances. So I already also wrote a couple of songs, and there are a lot of beautiful poems in the Arabic literature that I always wanted to spot the light on, and definitely, like, there are few poets who like really inspire me, give me some pictures or some ideas, so I can like imagine a special like imagine a picture, and that inspired me a lot to compose. So it definitely inspire a lot and make a big influence in my music. So for example, in the last show I had, it was in Berlin last month, and I choose a song for like a famous very famous poet from the Islamic history. His name is Al-Hallaj. And Al-Hallaj, he's one of the very well-known poets in the Sufi direction. So the poem I choose is 1,200 years old, and it describes the love relationship between Al-Hallaj and God, because he was always describing God as love, and God exists everywhere around us, and he's just built out of love. And the meaning of his lyrics is just very beautiful, and it already has a lot of music inside it. So I would say lyrics also has always its own music inside it, even before making a melody for it.
Do you feel comfortable speaking or saying a few lines of this beautiful poem or song so we can get a taste of the sound of your language?
Yeah, definitely. I will say it in Arabic language.
Okay.
And then maybe I will try to translate it a bit.
Yeah.
عجبت منك ومني يا منية المتمني، أدنيتني منك حتى ظننت أنك إني، وغبت في الوجد حتى أشغلتني بك عني. Yeah, so the meaning is the meaning is very, very beautiful, and it's just like he's describing that he fall in love with God until a level where he forgot his body, and he just merged in the spirit of God with love, and he even asked God, "Who are you?" And God tell him, I am you.
Yeah. This is very much in the tradition of the Sufis, no? It is, like you said, the Sufis, exactly. The beloved to find God in everything, that we carry God within, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's, for me as a singer and as a lyricist, it's always very precious to hear the sound of our languages that we have, throughout the world, that there's a rhythm, there's a tonality, right, that happens. And even though we might not speak Arabic or understand it, we do feel it. It's a sensuality that comes into play when we hear the original languages, right?
True.
Yeah.
True.
So you are in the moment. I believe you brought out an album in 2017, and now you're working on a new project called, it's a play, right? Le Oud Whispers, and when you write it, it looks like loud whispers, which I love very much. Exactly. This play with the words. Yeah. Are you planning to bring out an album with this mixture of Arabic, Brazilian, flamenco, jazz? Are you working on a new album?
Actually, Loud Whisper was my last project I did. It was like more like a concept for live performance. So, and now I'm working in a new project. Yes, I'm recording a new album, and the album called Al-Hamra, which is actually like based on my experience traveling from Lebanon to Spain, where I did my master at Berkeley. And Al-Hamra is a name for a street in Lebanon. This is like a very famous street there, and this street was one of the streets which was neutral during the civil war. So there was a civil war in Lebanon, and this street was always the street for everyone, sort of outside of the war. And also Al-Hamra is the name of a castle, of the famous castle in Granada in Spain. So I just thought that this name will really reflect my experience between the two countries, especially because the album is based on flamenco music and Arabic music into a jazzy direction. So we have the music ready now, and we are planning to go to the studio very soon, and I wish in 2020 the album will be there.
Did I understand you correctly, Mohannad, that even during the war times, this one street, or this was considered in a way sacred ground where people from both sides could come and meet and have coffee and share
exactly
without being
exactly this.
That's a very powerful picture. That
exactly.
Even while the bombings are happening, that there is a certain respect from both sides that this street or this area would not be touched.
Yeah, this is what happened actually, and that was during 30 years of civil war in Lebanon. So yeah, and also there is in Granada, because the Arabs were in Spain for 400 years, and they built the most beautiful castle, which is called Al Hamra as well. So for me also it was sort of crossroad between the two cultures, between the Spanish and the Arab cultures. So yeah, I had a strong voice inside me telling me this name might be very suitable for the idea of the album. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hold that thought, and we're going to take a small break, and we'll be back with Mohannad Nasser.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. I am Kara Jonstad, and I am in studio with Mohannad Nasser, Syrian Oudist, composer, educator, big-hearted soul. That's all I can say. A big-hearted soul with a very big vision to bring, basically to begin to heal a very broken world and a very beautiful world, I guess, with beauty and peace. So, Mohannad, we know that cultures all over the world, they drum, they dance, they sing to heal traumatic experiences, and we are living in challenging times. You're sharing your stories about coming from Syria and having to leave that country due to a civil war, then being in Lebanon where they also experienced civil war. There seems to be too many wars and not enough music concerts. If we had our way, we'd be doing music probably 24/7 on every street corner. You know firsthand how painful global conflict can be. So what is your sense of the power of music that we have, and how can we use music to help to navigate the conflict and bring healing to the trauma?
Yeah, actually, Cara, like from a personal experience, I can say it very strongly that music saved my life, saved my spirit during the war, because like during the wartime, we don't have future at all. Like we just think how can we pass day by day. So music at that time was for me sort of like spiritual space where I can like completely disconnect with the bad reality around, and not only that, but also create my own reality of making music and see how people can sit together and sing few songs for like 1 hour and just forgot everything happening around. So this is one thing. Another thing, that when I left to Lebanon, I was like many other Syrians. I wanted to do something, like I was guilty of like just watching what's happening. There is a crime, and we should do something. So I started to teach music for refugee kids in several camps. So we were going every week to like very poor neighborhoods where many Syrian and Palestinian families live there. We were teaching the kids the music. So we were dealing with stories that it should be heard. Everyone should hear these stories, because imagine like imagine a kid who has literally no toys, like he can play with nothing. He just maybe like stay in the street, and suddenly you give him a music instrument. So I was watching how kids behave differently when they start to learn music. How can they put their enormous energy into something positive, and they can feel that they are appreciated more from the society around them. And I had like almost 3 years working with the same kids, so we can see the difference in their life. And so that was for me a big lesson that I learned that music can really heal us. Like it's not like a poetic things we say. No, it's like a reality. It's something very objective.
Do you think this is just my curiosity, that sometimes when the emotions are so complex and we have maybe grief and sadness and anger and hope and happiness and guilt all at the same time, and when we're feeling so many emotions in our heart, and there's no way to express it through words, because the words would be so illogical, that's the language of music offers us a path to express those stories without being misunderstood, because it's so easy for many of us when we put words to very complex emotions to be misunderstood, and that's even more painful, right? To be misunderstood, because we all want to be heard. So is that the beauty of music, that it can tell the stories without being judged?
Definitely. I think this is one of the very important points in music that we can communicate with each other in a different language, which is more peaceful, and also we can sort of turn off our mind, because sometimes we extra analyze. So with music, we just flow, and we just have a basic human being communication. So definitely this is one of the very important points about it. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. So I think at some point I did see, is there a certain organization that you still work with in Lebanon that collects instruments for children, or that is there a certain organization that you would like to share with our audience so that more and more kids can receive music class and music instruments?
Definitely. There is an organization called Yalla pour les enfants, and Yalla for the kids, and we had like peace building activities in Lebanon, providing music and theater classes for the kids, and we always welcome any kind of support. We always have like a fundraising campaign happening. So I would also invite anyone who really can contribute to help those kids. It will be like a big changing on their life. And it's already in the website of the organization. It's called Yalla pour les enfants.
Thank you. So how do you encourage, I know you're doing work with refugee kids, but you're also, you're teaching, you're traveling, you're doing concerts. How do you encourage the next generation of musicians, and I guess we could also say people that support music, that are going actively to the concerts, that are learning, that are studying, to find their voices? This is all about voice and vibration. So how are you helping people find their voice collectively so we can heal as a humanity?
Yeah, I mean, like for my students, I always say that just think that what you do is completely unique. What you have is something very special. Trust what you have. Never judge yourself, and never compare yourself to others, because each one of us has his unique experience. And no matter what we have on our hand, because sometimes we can really create like big things out of very, very small tools. So we should. I personally think we should always think about what do we have at the moment, if it's small, and how can we develop it and make it growing up day by day.
I love that. Also, that image that you said at the beginning of the show when you needed to practice without electricity, etc. Because I'm not sure if it's because I'm getting older or because I'm simplifying my life, but sometimes I really enjoy unplugging, and that means to go back to the instruments, the flute, the oud, the guitar, the things we can carry with. And where I come from, I'm not sure if they have this now in Syria or in Lebanon or Spain, but where I come from, Mohannad, we even play spoons from the kitchen table. Do you know this?
Wow, yeah.
They always play spoons, yeah. Right? And so this idea that music is everywhere, there's no excuse. It's not about money. It's not about fancy instruments. It's really about finding the beauty, the truth, the joy, the rhythm, right? Listening to the wind, listening to the stories that people are saying. I know you've received several prizes at international oud competitions, and you're performing your music all over the world. I think you are going on to a small tour soon in Spain and Greece. I know you were just in Berlin, maybe in France. Where can our audience find more about your work and maybe your homepage, your YouTube channel? and what you're
Yeah,
up to.
actually, I am quite active on social media. I post usually all the concerts on my official website, which is www.mohannadnasser.com. And I also have a YouTube channel, Facebook. Yeah, so for example, like in the next month, I will be in tour in France mainly. I will be south in Corsica and in Toulon, a very beautiful city in the south of France, and then I will go to Paris and also to the west of France. So yeah, I usually announce all these events on my website, and I invite everyone to come by and to meet each other and like to have a good moment.
Do you have any tips and tricks? Like, do you have a daily ritual that you do that keeps you in flow and in balance and so positive in the middle of all these travels in a world that is sometimes standing on its head? Do you have a practice that you would recommend for us to join you on to stay in flow?
Yeah, actually, at the moment, I'm trying to do yoga every day, and I definitely will practice between 1 hour and 3 hours.
Nice. And any certain direction? And more hatha or yanga, or is it just?
No, actually, it's more hatha yoga. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And do you find that when you're traveling, do you need to eat a certain way to stay in balance, or are you just grateful for everything that you find on the road?
Actually, I really like to cook by myself. So at least I still have like some ritual, you know, because also cooking for me is something make me relax, make me like turn off my mind for few hours, like for 1 hour, and yeah, whenever I can cook, I will do it. Yeah, but I mean, France is a dangerous country because they have a lot of delicious food there, huh?
That's true. That's true.
There's a lot of delicious cheese, and yeah, so I'm sure that maybe my ritual will change there.
Yeah, it might change as you're invited to all these concerts. So for all the people that are going to come and see you in France, and we know that, Mohannad, you are also open to invitations all over the world to take your music also to, Canada and Switzerland and America and Mexico, right? I believe you're very open to travel. So what do you want for the people? You said before to be relaxed and to take with them some piece of beauty. What would you like the people, when they listen to your music, to take home?
I mean, I still remember going to a few concerts and coming back with a memory that I will never forget. Like this kind of performance where the echo of the performance stay in your mind for a long time because of the good quality of music and also because of the message itself of the show. So I wish if I can deliver this message for my audience. I really hope that I can make like a nice vibes which can create a good memory for them to come back to listen to the music again. And definitely I always carry my history on my shoulders, so if they can pray for Syria, or if they can remember Syria in a different way from what the media is saying, if they can think about Syria differently, I will be happy that something has delivered, because unfortunately now the media always show Syria as a bloody country, but it's actually can be different as well. There is a lot of people who create art and a lot of peace builders. So
yes, a very rich history of musicians, of artists, of poets, right, of amazing people in Syria. And so we hold Syria, of course, always in our prayers. And I think that you do that. I've been blessed to see you in concert. You carry not only the history of your country, but you carry a lot of hope by merging all these different cultures together so that we can be in a place without walls where we can take down the borders and really experience being united as one humanity and not divided. So I thank you so much, for joining me today.
Thank you,
here
Cara.
at Voice
Thank you. I'm
Rising.
very happy to have this chat with you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I wish you a lot of success, and when your new album comes out, then come back to the show. Yeah?
Definitely, Cara. Have a good day. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.